Hey there, listener. Hey there, streaker. Hey there, creeper. Whatever you want to call yourself. It's your boy Mitz. So, before I start the episode, I want to get this opportunity not only to explain why I took so long to release the episode, but also an opportunity to say thank you. Because I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram. I got messages on Twitter. I've had people come up to me and tell me, hey, when's the next episode? I mean, I even had my own son tell me, like, yo, dad, what the fuck is your problem? Like, what's going on, right? So I want to say thank you for all the feedback. I want to say thank you for listening. And that just shows me right there that I'm actually producing something that you guys like. And this is just an opportunity to say thank you. And then also just a quick explanation. I did have something recorded. So on my recorder, when we record, there's a timer on there, and it shows me how long we've been recording. So every now and then, I'll look down and see where the timer reads. And in one of those, I looked, and it was all zero. So I had that fear that I had nothing recorded, but fortunately, there was something recorded. So as a result, I have to split it into two parts. So what you're gonna listen now is the first part. And the second part will be released next week or maybe even sooner. Just bear with me. But again, I just want to say thank you to everybody, all the listeners, all the support. You guys are the greatest. This is why I do this podcast. This is why I brought Gomez and Pancho and Wawa together. Because I feel like the listeners were all like a family here. So this is why I wanted to explain myself also. So thank you, listener. And without further ado, here's the episode. Thank you.
We're going streaking!
All right, welcome back, listener. Another episode. Now, this one is episode 35. Not last week. I apologize. We're all confused. So, Big Fernie, I'm sorry. This week,
he gets 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You get 2 episodes. One for you and one for Big Max. How about that? So, this is episode 35, the Big Max episode. So, yeah. So, today, kind of a special guest. Kind of. No, he is a special guest. We'll take that back. But no, we have a special episode. We have a guest with us. None other than the man, the myth, the legend. And you've heard his voice. You've heard his voice. If you've been listening to our episodes early on, you've heard his voice. And you know what he's all about. It's Mr. Alex Ubeda.
What's up, guys? Pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Number 35, we've got Frank Thomas,
Yes.
Frank Thomas, the big hurt.
And then not everybody remembers this, but at one point Ricky Henderson wore 35.
Ooh.
I looked that up. I
That's
could be wrong, but
Uh-huh.
I want to say that his rookie year he wore 35 with the Yankees.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I know he wore it. I'm thinking Yankees right before because with the A's is when everybody recognized him as like, oh, that's number 24, right? That's when he became. So let me see. That's 24. Okay, but look up
35. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Hey.
And we're available when he signed for the Dodgers too.
Or is that when he wore it?
I think so.
You gotta maybe.
No, but he was.
Oh, he went with number 25.
Yeah.
Okay,
I remember 25. Yeah.
So he could have retired.
Okay, so
he could have retired with 24 and 35. So he did wear
Oh,
35.
wow. He did wear 30. I knew he wore 35.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, you're right. Damn.
One of my all-time favorite players.
Oh, yes.
Ricky Henderson.
He
the best
Yes.
leadoff hitter of all time.
he didn't
All
give a
time.
fuck.
The GOAT.
He played
The
the
GOAT.
fucking sport the way you're supposed to play it. Like, fuck it, you know.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
hey.
That's old school, dude. All
Yeah,
the old
old
school
school.
guys did that.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
try to throw me out, motherfucker. You know.
Yeah. And he's an arrogant motherfucker.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah.
Ruben and I, we sat at the airport talking to him, dude, in Memphis, coming back from the coach convention.
Uh-huh.
And he's arrogant as shit, dude.
Mhm.
But I bet.
He's straight Oakland.
But I bet
Straight from the
you.
hood of Oakland.
But I bet you it was fun to talk to him though. Is that
Oh,
is
yeah,
that
he was
gonna
a
work?
trip. He was
Yeah,
a
that's
trip.
funny, man.
So
So
they
go ahead,
Go ahead,
Alex.
sorry.
Go ahead,
No, I
Alex.
was gonna say what I growing up and I've seen someone like him, I've always everybody's like, wow, he's so cocky, so cocky. So I try to mimic him. So people are like, damn, you're cocky as hell. I'm like, no. There's a difference. I'm just confident. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I go, Ricky Henderson is extremely confident.
Yeah.
That's why. So he comes off like a dick, which he probably is. But when you're that confident and that good, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But what are you gonna say to the guy? You suck? No. I'm the best there ever was.
Yeah, you can genuinely say, yeah, he's cocky, but he can back it up too, though.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, I had that rap too when I played, dude. Everybody said, "Oh, that motherfucker's cocky as shit." Get in the box, dude, and see how cocky I am, motherfuckers.
And you know what? Confidence.
It's confidence.
It's what it is, and if you don't have it in this game, forget about it. Forget about it. It's done.
Sure. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being confident and being humble as well, too, though. But yeah, I mean, shit. In major leagues, I think you got to show that confidence. It's like an intimidation factor almost.
Yeah.
But
and everybody's
going to eat you alive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are going to eat you alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Alex Ubeda, you're an accomplished real estate agent. You know the game. You play the game, but also one thing that a lot of people don't know, you were the former host of a YouTube show called Inside the Diamond, which I thought it was the best thing ever when it came out. Inside the Diamond, it was the show that brought you in what was going on in high school sports in the city of LA. And
I swear, I've told him plenty of times too. I said, man, if he was better than Sondheimer, than all those guys, dude, Fox Sports. If one of those companies would have bought that, I told him, don't leave it alone, man. Just keep pursuing it. But I know the real estate was there, and he needed to start making some money, man. But he was legit.
Yeah.
So everybody saw it here. You guys actually saw the show.
Well, I still see it every now and then.
Well, we know obviously with Gomez, we did a few episodes with them, but you know what? It was a trip. It was Richard Martinez, old buddy of mine from Grant High, and he's the editor, the man behind the camera there. That we got on a call, and he's like, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this thing," and I'm like, "I might work." You're gonna have to ask him. I forget why I got the call, but I got the call, and we just kind of hit the ground running with it. And because it was high school baseball, and the fact that it was baseball, to me, it was easy,
right?
But it was a lot of work, like a lot of behind the scenes stuff. He did a lot of the editing footing because that's what the shooting footage stuff.
Right.
That's what he's great at. I was more in front of the camera, but prior to that, I had to call the school, set up, access, etc. Like especially like private schools, you can't just go to Notre Dame, show up with a camera.
No, of course not.
At Notre Dame High, they'll be like, "Whoa, time out! Who are you?
Yeah.
Get them out of here!"
Yeah.
So it was very cool in the sense that I got to call people and talk to people, and eventually the head coaches, and say, "Hey, can we come on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever the case was?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" You show up to these schools, you say your name, they give you a pass, and you walk in like you're somebody, and you're like, "Oh, snap!" Like it felt good, And then everybody knew you were going to be there that day in regards to the school, so they didn't look at you funny. The parents were like, "Oh, what's this about?" So there was a lot of like, what everybody's like, "What is it? What are you guys doing?" Et cetera, et cetera. And because YouTube was so new that, man, if I would have listened to Gomez and I would have done another year, that thing would have blown up.
I try to tell you, man.
It was wild. Like I didn't know how. Like so, I was running. So back to everything. I was running the IG and I was running the Facebook and I was running Twitter. What I would get a lot was the kids, which was the fun part because at the same time I was still maybe. Was it 30? I was in my 30s, early 30s, right? So I'm like, I felt like I've always loved baseball. I was still playing. So I would be like, I'd follow the game all the time. So these kids were like, "Hey, can you come to my school? Can you come to my school?" But what we did behind the scenes was, and it was my job basically to tell Richard, "Hey, San Fernando Silmar this week is probably the best game possible.
That's what
Like, I would pick.
that's what I was about to ask you. Like, which games
Yeah.
brought
I
your
would
attention,
pick.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would literally follow the game, meaning high school baseball, and my goal was to pick the hottest game that week.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work, as you guys have noticed that
Yeah.
we can go shoot it today, but editing
Yeah.
is not one day. It's not. I mean, we would shoot at 5, right, per se, or be done at 5 or 6, and we go to his house around. Let's say we get there about 8 p.m. and it'd be like midnight, and we're like, bro, we're tired. Like, because we're trying to knock it out. We're trying to get it out to the fans like the next day or so.
day.
You want to stay as recent as possible.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy.
It's not.
And then he's got a family. I have a family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So behind the scenes, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. But the best part was interacting with the kids. Or like, hey, come through. And I'm sorry, Silmar, but I think I've promised them like 10 times. I never made it.
Well, you did. No, you did actually, didn't you?
But two Silmar. I don't remember. Maybe the following season we did. So season 2 was a different.
I know. There's
like a different vibe.
There's a Silmar. There's a San Fernando Silmar game that was at Silmar, and
Was
you
it
were
at
there.
Silmar?
Yes, it was at Silmar. Yeah.
Maybe it was season 2.
Yeah, it could be. Could be season 2. But what I liked about that was you interviewing the players, and you can tell the maturity level of those players, and them recognizing the level of competition and what they needed to execute. That's what I liked about it.
I think that's what they liked.
Yeah. And there was, don't get me wrong, there was shows that would showcase high school games, but they're all southern section, and you were doing the city section.
So we tried to do both, but we're doing mainly city.
Right.
And here's the funny part. I remember still because we were trying to pitch it to Fox. At the time, it was Fox Sports 2, I think.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like who had the Dodgers, but they had a local show.
Right.
Where they would bring in like a coach on a Friday, and I think they would talk about the games, et cetera, et cetera. But all these local news writers like Sondheimer, they love Twitter.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I was always tweeting. Like, I mean, at the time, I was a special ed assistant not with LAUSD, but I worked within LAUSD. I worked for a private company.
Okay.
So I'd get in trouble because I'm always tweeting. Like, what this fool's on his fucking phone all the time? Because I was trying to catch up with these guys to be like, hey, you guys are journalists, but so am I. You know what I mean? And the funny part was I got to a point where, and this was all within one season, where Sondheimer would see us walk in, and you can see him chirping with the other guy. And I just talked to everybody. Mm-hmm. So him and I would start talking. And then after that, he would see Richard and I, and he would always give us like the nod. Like, the nod, oh, you're here. And to us as journalists, it's like, oh shit, you know who I am. It's a big deal, It's like you feel like somebody. But so the tweets, all that work, and it was a trip because I'm like, oh snap, like this guy really knows who I am. Like I've been seeing Hot Timer when I was playing, and then they have the daily news guys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we got that buzz where people really knew.
Oh, there was definitely a buzz. Yeah.
They knew, like, oh, these guys are here. And it was a lot of fun, a great time. It didn't happen in the sense where I didn't stick around for season 2. I know Richard went ahead and did season 2. I think they ran it a little different. Yeah. I told them, call me if you guys want like access to, certain people, because I already had the contacts.
Right.
I'm just going to be like, give them to you guys and you guys roll with it. They did their own thing. I did go back for one episode that season and did it my way, but the buzz was there. And it was all because of the kids. The kids were the ones that, that they would pump it up. They would retweet it on IG, on Twitter, on IG and all that. When I really knew was when I was actually working as a real estate agent. And that was after the show, because I was when I wasn't doing real estate with the show was going on.
Okay.
And I think I was in Arleta and I was showing a house, and then this kid just, he's pretty much walking by. He's like, hey, what's up, man? Inside the diamond. And I was like, wait, what the? I was like, oh, this is like a few years later. I'm like, I remember you're still doing the show. I'm like, nah, we're not. He's like, oh, you got to do it. And that's what I kind of like, man, I always missed it because that was one of my first loves was really broadcasting and baseball.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
those two were great.
I'll tell you what, your guys' show, and I wish you would have listened to me, man, and stayed with it a little bit longer. And Richard, by the way, guys, is Handy's cousin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Grant. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he does a great job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have watched the show that they did when we won the city title, when they came to the house and they had all the stuff reflecting off my walls and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, that was unbelievable, man. I still get the chills when I watch that.
It was something that I enjoyed a lot. But what happened to, at least for me personally, was right when that show was happening, my son was born, and then it was kind of like, okay, you're gonna make money, or you're gonna hope to make money,
Right.
And unfortunately for me, I didn't see that bigger picture, and I needed the money,
Yeah.
so I had to make money. But if I had the luxury or the magic wand or crystal ball, I would have probably stuck around, and who knows? I think it would have been a one of those YouTube sensations, as they call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, one more season, it would have blown up. Dude.
Taken off.
Hey,
Time Warner,
there's still time.
Warner, all of those things, you know. And Richard's still been doing. I see he does some other stuff too.
Yeah,
I think
Right?
he's
He's
working
doing
in the
those
studios
art.
now. I think.
Yeah, he's
That's
doing
right.
art stuff, and
Yeah.
Richard's got a lot of talent too, man.
Mhm.
Oh no, he's great. He all that editing, all that stuff that looks nice. That's all him. I can't do that stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm just like, bro, where do I start? Like,
Yeah.
it's like pitching and catching. You got to have one.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other. So
Yeah.
that's how we rolled. But yeah, I think you can ask him. I think after season 2, I think he was pitching it to people here and there. Obviously, didn't get picked up, or else he'd be doing it. But I know he tried. But I think we would have done one more. If I would have stuck around, maybe I think that would have helped a little bit. But it was a lot of fun for sure.
because it was real
for sure.
professional, dude.
It
It was
was.
like, you know, you're coming on the field.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the sideline reporters, man.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
it
what
was
made fun.
outstanding.
Yeah, that's what made it fun.
Well, what made
And I
it
think-
what made it great was the on the field interviews. Like you were in the diamond. Like this is what the show said. You were inside the diamond. It's
right.
not like you were
Exactly.
like you did it when the game was over and you did it in the parking lot or you're in front of the school bus when the team was
Yeah.
leaving. No.
Yeah.
You're within the lines, inside
Right.
the diamond, just like the show
Right,
said.
right.
And that's what made it just great.
That's what made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that too. Actually, now that you mention it,
No, yeah, that's what
but that was a whole purpose of us saying, you know, I told them, I go, we can't just show up, you know, and a la brava start recording. They'll be like, what the
Mhm.
fuck are you doing?
No, yeah.
Especially with minors, you know. I go, we got to make
Yeah.
it. I go, so let me email these people, let me call these people, make it look legit,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we get there, they're gonna treat us that way, and that's what happened. So when we did all this, we had full access from the principal down, because they wouldn't have allowed it. There's no way.
But it was good too because it brought those schools that were in lower income areas and lower income students and the minority students. It gave them the access to it. Like you see, you can't just show up to Notre Dame. Not only because you're recording minors, but Notre Dame had the luxury to pick who's gonna be in there.
That's
Like
true.
you can say like you can't just go there and be like, hey, I'm trying to do a show, or like me. Okay, for me, for instance, hey, I got a podcast that talks about high school baseball in LA. So how many listeners do you have? How many downloads do you have? Have you been on TV
Yeah.
before? Like, who do you know? Who's your dad? Or what? You know,
wow.
like they have the luxury of doing that in the private schools and whatever. But what was good about yours is you started off with those schools that didn't get the access, that deserved the access. You know, and that was
That's
the good
true.
thing about
That's
it.
true.
So, I mean, you went to a game at Poly. It was a playoff game against Verdú, and they're fucking selling tacos. You know,
Oh, yeah.
let me see if Sondheimer's fucking doing the same thing, but he's going to barbecue spots, you know, like with fucking
Yeah.
brisket and shit. Nah. We got tacos over here, fool, you know. So
I think that's what I think we were the only ones doing video, and that's what set us apart.
mhm.
And that's what put us. You know, any game we would have gone to, everybody was hyped that we were there, which was pretty funny.
And it
very
made them play
interesting.
better. And it made them play better because they want to
Yeah.
be featured in that show.
At
Well,
the
you gave
end.
him a spotlight.
Yo,
We
Yeah,
did give
for
him a
sure.
spotlight.
Yeah, but
Gomez,
it was all about his professionalism, man. Because
Mhm.
That too, yeah.
his go-to, he had his coat on. He put on his coat before they
Yes.
turn on the mic, you know, and the
Yeah.
camera and shit.
I
You know,
agree.
it was legit.
I mean, they're letting you in the
It was
dugout.
better than the shit at Dodger Stadium sideline
Yeah.
reporting, dude.
You're doing your
That's
little.
what I was gonna ask Gomez. Do you remember we got it at Dodger Stadium? I was in Gomez's dugout. I was like, what?
Yeah.
We're right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were
That
there
was-
when
I
George
know
Lopez
Richard-
was there, right?
Richard got us in. I know Richard was a big
Okay.
pull on that because he knew Gomez.
Yeah.
And
Richard would call me. I'm like, come on, bring it, dude.
Yeah.
Shit, anytime, you know.
That's good.
that was
man.
dope.
Yeah,
That
'cause
was
Handy.
dope.
Handy had called me and said, "Hey, man, my cousin's doing this thing, man.
Oh,
he goes,
okay.
he wants to come by the school." I said, "Tell him to come by." Shit, fuck, get us some love.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And then once I
we
saw
did.
it, I was like, "Man, this is legit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're give us a brief like history, like Alex, you're playing life, you know, even from the pony or little league or recreational. Like, where'd you start and
wow.
where'd you play in high school?
It's a Lancer.
There you go.
I'm a Lancer, Grant Lancer. So it's a funny story.
Uh-huh.
I grew up. I was in North. So I migrated from Guatemala when I was 4. Right. So
Okay.
I came here when I was 4. I was living in North Hollywood, and then I moved to another part of North Hollywood, and then we moved again to Sun Valley, literally across the street from Sun Valley Park. So I
Okay.
don't know if anybody knows where. They're Biden and Strathern.
Yeah.
Sun Valley Rec Center.
Right.
So I was always a huge fan of baseball. I watched the game. I didn't know that I can play on a team. I didn't know that existed.
Okay.
I didn't know there was Little League. So when we moved to the park, I remember a Sunday, the park was packed. And I'm talking about, so if you cross the street, anybody knows the park, you cross the street.
Yeah.
There's this huge apartment complex.
Yeah.
Those are Section 8 apartment buildings that
Right.
we were one of the first people to move in there. So they look really nice because they're newer. Right? So we were like the first ones to live there. So I crossed the street and I'm looking at these guys, and I still remember it was the A's. It was a Sunday League A's team. I'm not sure who was running it. I don't know if wasn't there a guy named Sal that was on the A's or something like that back in the days? I don't remember, but
Could have been, yeah.
I remember going up to him, not him specifically, to the A's and say, "Hey, I want to play." And I was like 10.
Yeah.
And they looked down at me like, what are you talking about? Get out of here.
Well, they say we
And I'd go-
need a bad boy.
And I was like, no, I want to play baseball.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I didn't know. So I'm like, well, if they're playing, why can't I play?
Right.
That's literally
Yeah.
how my mentality was. Like,
Yeah.
well, if you're playing, I want to play. So I'd go back. I went like 2 or 3 times. They're like, someone finally said, look, man, you can't play with us. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but you're probably like this tall. And
You're gonna get fucking
they're
killed
like,
out
you
here.
you gotta go to. That's the thing. So to me, it was just baseball. I didn't realize adults, kids. I was clueless to that. So they're like, you got to go to the park and you got to go in there and sign up. And I was like, really? So I walked in there and like, hey, I want to play baseball. And then they're like, well, you know, I'm like, where do I sign? And they're like, you can't just sign up. You got to bring your parents. You got to pay. And I was like, oh, it's a wrap.
Oh shit.
I was like, okay, we're not playing baseball anymore. I'm like, well, what do I need? He's like, I think it was like $35, $45. I don't remember.
Right.
But I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to play. So I went home and I bitched forever. Like, I want to play baseball. So my mom's finally like, fine, we're going to take you, cabrón. Vámonos. So she signed me up and I started playing when I was 11. So a lot of my friends started when they were 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, they already know the
playing
game. Yeah.
So at 11, I show up. I don't know how. They throw me at short. Bro, I was nervous. Ground ball right through my legs. I was like, oh, forget it. I'm done. It's done. So that first year, it was a learning curve. The second year comes around. From there on, I was an all-star at shortstop. How? I don't remember. I don't know. Right? But then that's where that confidence came from. You know how you guys were talking about confidence and cockiness. So to me, all I knew was Sun Valley Park baseball. That's all I knew. But what I had a lot of people, great people that taught me the game there that were just volunteers, people's parents, ex-players. A lot of Poly ex-players went there to teach us.
Okay.
Gomez, you remember, I don't know where you were in 91, 92. I think that was when Poly won, or they've never won actually.
91.
They went to the
91 San Fernando won. The one that
was that?
Yeah. In 91 San Fernando won the city championship.
Where was there was a Poly team that was really good. Remember was it the early 90s when Alan Alegria dropped the ball at Dodger Stadium? Shout out to Alan. No.
Ooh, wow.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Nice shout
Hey,
out.
Alan, if you're listening,
Hey,
shout out to you
I
for
love
dropping
you,
the
Al.
ball, bro. I appreciate it.
But that's what that team's known for. I don't know if you guys remember that.
No, I don't
Isn't that
remember
early-
that.
They
Isn't
lost
that
to.
the Robert Otto's team?
They lost to.
I don't know.
It wasn't San Fernando. Was it?
San? I don't-
No, it
I
was
think San
92.
Pedro?
Yeah, San Pedro.
Oh,
I
okay.
was coaching at uni, and San Pedro got us in the semifinals because Frank Cruz got pissed off at me and didn't want to let I wanted to go with Richie Rivera on the mound, and he chose Randall Cunningham, dude, and dude, it was
So it
we
would have been
lost.
you
We
guys
lost to
versus
Pedro
Poly?
in the semis. We lost the San Pedro in the semis.
Right. So if you would have won, you would have faced Poly.
Yeah,
What school was that?
uni.
Uni.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was my only year there. I went there right after I was done playing ball because I was at Venice prior to that, and then I went there, and then that's when I went to San Fernando in '96.
Mm.
Wow. So Big Al, Alan Alegria, huge friend of mine. We go way back.
Okay.
He was at Poly, and I still remember this because he back to when I started playing, he started coaching me when I was 12 in the All Stars.
Okay.
And this is when I was like, Alan, thanks to you, I got even more confident. He pulled me over after a game and he goes, "Hey, you're gonna be an all-star." And to me, that was like, you pretty much told me I'm a millionaire.
Yeah,
The
you
year
made
before,
it. Yeah.
my first year, I didn't make the all-stars. I was devastated. And he goes, "Yeah, you're gonna be in the all-stars." And I'm like, "How?" Like, he's like, "I got you." I'm like, "All right, I didn't know who this guy was." So, anyways, fast forward, he was at Poly. He was on the paper as Mr. Knuckleballer. So remember Tom Candiati?
Yeah.
So they would compare him to Allen but Allen was a lefty knuckleballer, which was back then the knuckleball was still around.
Right.
Now that's like unheard of.
Right.
I didn't know he was that good. He's like, "Oh, look at the clips that I have," and I was like, "Look," I'm like, "This is you?" He's like, "Yeah, this is me." I was like, and I'm like, "Damn, the best of the best is teaching me to play baseball." In my mind, you know what I mean? Like, this is amazing.
Right.
So shout out to him. He went back and to his community and was showing the kids, what can be done. And that's when I first got a glimpse of that. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Anyways, the 91 is when they lost, but I learned a lot of baseball at that park through people like him. I ended up playing Sunday League like at 14, 15 years old with Tonaya in the majors, which is still a very young age.
Yeah.
Playing in the majors at that age, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I took pride in that. And I learned from the veteranos there that were like, "Hey, ponte las pilas," or, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I was a kid that was at short, but I was batting ninth because they're like, "You got to prove it. If you want to be a leadoff hitter, you better prove it." And then boom, I'd bat first. They're like, "All right, you proved it," et cetera, et cetera. But being there, when we would do, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's not a little league, it's a rec center.
Yeah.
So you have the all-stars and you just play against all the other recs.
All the other city parks. All the other city parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know about Little League. I didn't realize there was a Little League level, and back then travel ball was like we had a travel ball team. Like one of my last years, that's when travel ball barely started.
Mhm.
But the bums were already competing and kicking everybody's ass. By the way, everybody. So
Wow.
the bums were solid.
Yeah.
But that's when Roy, because Roy
Yes.
was the park director
Mhm.
at
Roy.
Fernandes.
Fernandes.
And
Yeah.
he went
Yes.
he went and got Ninja from Sun Valley.
Yes.
He went and got Jordan, all those dudes, and they had a legit team.
They
man.
did have a legit team.
They
did.
had Roy. Shout out to Roy, another buddy of mine that he's just been around. He loves baseball. He's been around
Mhm.
baseball so long, and that's what he did. He gave all the other kids like me an opportunity to play in a high level, right? And I didn't know about. I thought the All Stars was the highest level possible. I didn't know about travel ball and all that.
Right.
So when we would go to these all-star places, though, I didn't know. It was my first time, second time. Sun Valley was a force to be reckoned with. So we would show up with the little guys. What is it, like 5 to 7 years old, or 8 to 9, or whatever, 8 to 10, whatever those ages are. Where's the year where like all 3 or 4 teams won it all. So when we would walk, and this is the thing, I don't know if Allen and the rest of the coaches did this on purpose, but they're like, "We're gonna show up together." And when we walk to our fields, we're gonna show up together. So we're gonna walk here, we're gonna walk there, and we would walk. You can feel it, like, oh shit, Sun Valley's here, and you'd hear the whispers. So I felt like, yo, I'm the man. I made the team, and I'm starting. Like, it's a wrap. So we would walk in there with this confidence, and we kicked everybody's ass. And Fernandez and Brantford were our top dogs that we had to play against.
Yeah, I played at Brantford. Yeah,
and it was Fernandez because of Roy. I still remember Roy, and it was like Yankees, Dodgers, Dodgers, Giants, where I'm like, I gotta beat them. I have to beat them. I'm sorry. And we always played against really good teams there. Brantford had some really good players as well, though. Yeah, Brantford always had really good players. I didn't know about San Val, so I was supposed to go to Poly, and that's when everybody's like, "Oh, you played at San Val," and I took offense to that. I'm like, "Excuse me? No, I played at Sun Valley. Get it right,
right."
But San Val was apparently like a really good.
It was a good league. Yeah, it was a good league back then too. Yeah,
but we never even played them. I didn't even know them.
Right.
And Poly would get all those players. Here's the unfortunate part at Sun Valley. I want to say, if I remember correctly, out of all those all-star teams, unfortunately, maybe 3 or 4 of us even played high school baseball. Forget being any good in high school. Just the fact that we played, because everybody else went like disappeared,
yeah,
doing things they probably shouldn't be doing.
Right. Yep.
A lot of players that I played with that I still like that. So I was always as a baseball player, I was always a big fan. So like there was teams younger than us that were all-star players, and I would look at a player and say, that guy's going to be so good. And I would compare him to players that I knew. Right. So yeah. I can pick and choose, like, okay, that guy's, this guy, he's the fastest thrower. He's going to be the like, I was like scouting him before I even knew what scouting was as a fan of the game. And I saw so many talented players, never played high school ball. But at the time, you're worried about yourself. You're not thinking about it. But looking back now, I'm like, if they would have played, if you would have just got Sun Valley Baseball Rec Center and placed them in Poly, because that was our local school, bro, I kid you not.
Well, I mean, I think what the issue
title was, for sure.
Yeah, well, I think the issue was you didn't have like the bums that did what the bums did for Fernandez. If you would have had something like that for each city park, like Sun Valley or Brantford, that had a team that just a travel team for that park, it would have kept them in the game. Yeah.
Well,
Penmar, yeah.
Penmar, yep.
Yeah.
Penmar, we got a lot of those guys from Penmar all played at Venice with me.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys.
So I think that's what we needed at that time, that travel ball team that just that kept these guys playing,
It had to do with the park director, like Roy had that, right? At Penmar, it was Marty Gilbert that gave Nestor Cala the fields on Sundays, and Saturdays for the Veteranos League.
Yeah.
There's guys that love the game.
Yeah.
That their parks blossomed because of that.
Right.
I think it has to do with their sources too, right? Mm-hmm. Like they had the source to be able to do that. Like we actually had a team right before, I can't remember what age group it was, maybe 13 or 14 or somewhere between 12 and 14, that the gentleman, and I don't know where he came from, because I knew everybody at the park, right? I knew that, like, who was who, right? In a sense, who's coaching what and everybody that helped out. But this gentleman came out of nowhere, and I apologize, I forgot his name, but he actually built Sun Valley Heat for 2 seasons.
Oh, okay.
And then he's like, we're going to beat the bums. So he already knew, because he already knew, like, this, if you guys want to be good, you guys got to go, you got to beat the best, right?
Yeah.
So he built literally, it's the Sun Valley Heat, and he goes, I want you on the team. I'm like, bro, if I'm on the team, and you just got to pay. Because back then, I'm going to play because someone's going to pay for me to play, because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So he's like, don't worry about it. I got you.
Were the Diablos around then, back then? Or was that after the Bombs? When you talk about you're talking about the Violent Boys and all that, right? No. I'm talking about there was a team. There was a travel team. No. Forget about that. We all know about that.
Damn, bro.
No. We all know that, right? We all know that part. No, but there was a little travel team around here well, around that area, that were the
Okay.
Diablos, the Sun Valley Diablos. That
Oh, I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, there was a little team
Look-
around there, and they were. I guess they were forming. I don't know if they started at around the
It
same
might.
time.
I think I know who it is.
Okay.
And that was, I think, after us, and that's why they used the name Diablos. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Yeah, if you know, you know, right? But-
you connect the dots.
Yeah, yeah.
But this guy, and with me, it was like when I was there in Sun Valley, I moved out when I was like 21. I was already in college.
Mhm.
When you're in the sports, they just leave you alone. Like they're
Yeah.
not gonna mess with you.
Yeah.
So they see me walking in with my little jersey. They're like, leave him alone. He's good. Like he's not.
Well,
he's
that's
good
not
for
the
that.
that's not the case because
Well,
we had to
I
play.
mean, at
we,
least
we had
I
to play in
got
our
lucky.
team. Gomez went ahead and got us BP jerseys, right? and they were nice. They were fucking mesh. They were fucking
Okay.
tight ass material. There was a clean material.
Yeah.
and they had the SF logo, right? But
Okay.
one of these kids on our team was number 13.
Uh-oh.
So we were like, hey, we're all gonna wear our BP jerseys to fucking school and this
Oh,
and that.
no.
And then this was like, I'm not wearing
Hell
that
no.
shit. He goes, I take the bus. I take the bus to school, and I live in Pacoima.
Who was it?
So I'm not gonna. I don't want to put them out there like that. But
Because I was 13.
I know
The
you,
first
yeah,
one
but
we-
it's different though. They're different. I mean,
That's
this
different.
Is, yeah.
That's different.
Okay, let me put it this way, Gomez. You would wear 13 with the V on your BP jersey, but you lived in Culver City and you take the bus to fucking school.
Yeah, no, I
That's that was his situation.
Nobody knows that. They'll be like, "Oh, that's cool, bro."
Yeah, but that was
But-
his situation. You know.
But see, no. And you know what? That happened a few times. And when I was making those jerseys and stuff, I had no idea, dude, about the. I wouldn't even think about
No,
that.
but you
because
don't-
Dennis-
but even
Dennis
though-
was
It was the Valley,
like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
nobody messed with that.
No, but the thing is, you couldn't refrain yourself from doing that either, just because of that. This is baseball.
And I would say, you know what?
Yeah,
Fuck
you shouldn't
them.
have to,
They're
yeah.
not gonna run. They're not going to run shit. This is our team, our high school team.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of our guys walking home down Laurel Canyon on the shorts that had San Fernando baseball, and dude, they were all Konya did it right. They're all embroidered and shit, nice. Some fool with a navaja stopped them and cut it out, dude. He showed up to practice and he has a square cut out of
man.
his shorts. I said, "What the fuck, dude?"
Fuck, dude.
And he said, "Oh man, I didn't want to tell you, man, but some gangsters the other day, man, down Laurel Canyon stopped me with the navaja and he cut him." And shit.
Oh man.
I said, "Who was it?" He goes, "I don't know." I said, "Tell me who it was, man. I'm gonna fucking tell his ass what's up."
Yeah, those are different times.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
certain situations that back then, but I mean, I'm talking about. But you're right though, Alex. There was plenty of times, like they knew you were on the team and you weren't associated with all that. You may have known them, you may have acquaintances with them.
100%. You have to. You
Yeah.
live across the street.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But they knew, and it was just a mutual knowledge that
Respect,
respect
Yeah.
or mutual knowledge. Like, oh no, he's playing ball, whatever, So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, you're right, and that's what I bring back, that those rec centers, those recreational centers
Yeah,
needed
yeah.
that travel team
We
to
did
keep
We did.
those fucking kids.
to keep us
Yeah.
Out of
keep us out of
trouble.
trouble.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at was a lot of, I mean, one of our best player, I mean, to this day is like, because like I said, I'm a big baseball fan.
Mhm.
This kid was clocking. So out of Sun Valley, he was our best player. I everybody knew that. I mean, it was hands down. He never went to high school. He got into trouble. It is what it is. He never went to college, but in high school, in his high school years, he was clocking between 92 to maybe 95.
Man.
That's not normal.
It's not normal.
You know that.
Yeah.
And then he's pitching off of flat mounds in Sun Valley Park with me. Okay? Just think about this.
Mhm.
So he gets to a mound in high school and they start teaching him what to do. And this kid's blowing, but he wasn't at a high school. I don't want to get into too much because
Right.
I don't know if I should, but he was that gifted. And when I played with him, I'd be at short and he's at third. And he would do, okay, you guys remember Ken Caminiti?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The kid would just, who's at third right now?
Machado.
Anybody that has a hose.
Machado's arm.
Machado.
Yeah.
He would go like this, right?
Mhm.
And just hose it, but nonchalant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm standing next to him at short, so I'm seeing this. So I'm seeing it as a player and as a fan. And I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
Mhm.
He's like, I don't know. Quietest kid on the team, bro. He was the quietest kid on the team. He was the biggest kid on the team, quietest kid on the team, and the best kid on the team. Hit bombs like nobody. It was ridiculous. So I knew from a young age how to spot the really good players. I'm like, this guy's gifted. You know, one day I might hit a ball like him, maybe.
And were you doing that when you were watching the games with Inside the Diamond with those kids?
I can pick and choose. I can tell. Like you know what I mean?
Well, you ended up being a scout too, right?
So down the road, I did one season with the Blue Jays, Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow.
And we scouted Beckford, right? From the Dodgers.
Bickford.
Sorry, Bickford. So his senior year, my job, Oaks Christian. His senior year my job was to follow him at every game. And you know, if I find anybody else, great. Dude, it was crazy. Every game, there was like 10 to 20 scouts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I saw him last week. What are you guys expecting to see again? Like, it's the same thing, but they would still show up. And I guess I had to show up too. So I was around that. The gentleman that the GM, he was a GM for the Blue Jays. I forgot his name.
Dang,
I got to meet. Is that the guy that just passed away like not too long ago?
I think it was Dane Org.
The story says that he told Gibson, you know, he's gonna pitch you left or right or whatever. The Eckersley story. Do you remember? Do you guys know about that one?
No.
Oh, that he's gonna throw you a 3-2 slider.
3-2 slider.
That's the same scout. I horrible that I don't know his name. I got to meet him with the Blue Jays because he said. So my scout told me, hey, he's gonna show up on Saturday. He's going to be wearing his cowboy boots. No one's going to know it's him but you, because he doesn't want everybody to bombard him and start asking him questions or, hey, look at my kid and da-da-da-da.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, like, I'm like, this is like private eye stuff. Like, are you kidding me? So sure enough, the parents had already seen me enough times. So I would get these people coming up. Oh, you look at my son. What do you think? And literally I'm learning the ropes. So I'm just giving them whatever I could without telling them, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Right. Because scouting is a whole within itself. Like, that's a whole nother art.
Right.
Jim Lentine, which I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jim Lentine. He now runs the Blue Jays basically from San Capistrano all the way down in Hawaii for the Blue Jays.
Wow.
So he's the one that brought me on, and he told me, I need you to follow Bickford, et cetera, and he's the one that told me he's going to be there. So I go up to the gentleman, I tap him on his shoulder, and he turns around, look at him, be like, who the fuck are you? I go, hey, Jim sent me. He's like, oh, okay, let's go talk. And he takes me all the way down to the third base side, and he starts talking about a Bickford because he doesn't want anybody hearing that he's the guy that's going to make the call. So
was he a national cross checker?
Is that what
scouting director or national cross checker?
That's the main guy.
I understood, he was like literally under the GM. That's what his title may be.
Yeah, scouting director probably.
Okay, so after that meeting at Oaks Christian, Jim tells me, hey, we're taking him 10th overall. And I'm like, so now I put on my journalism hat on. I'm like, this is breaking news. But I'm not supposed to say anything because I work for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I do? So then at the MLB network had just started. I don't know if you remember when the MLB network, like literally the channel just started.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do everything and anything to mimic like the NBA and NFL and et cetera, et cetera. So when the draft was happening, I got on my phone and I'm like, you know what? It's a once in a lifetime. I'm just gonna blurt it out. So I tagged MLB Network. I go Bickford going 10th overall to the Blue Jays, and they're they're doing their predictions, right? They're pro. You know how NFL draft, everybody's he's gonna go first, and no one had Bickford in the top 100 basically. So I blasted on Twitter, on the Twitter world, and then they announce it 10th overall, and everybody's looking around like, what the, like, who's that? How do they know? And then my tweet was like, they started blowing me up. Like, how did you know? What like, so now they're like, yo, this Inside the Diamond kid knows a lot more than I thought, because now I'm predicting MLB stuff. So it was crazy, dude. That because you
Was
brought
your
up like,
scout pissed off at you for doing that?
so here's the thing. He's an older guy. I don't even think he knew about the tweet. I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
So I did it live, like literally a minute before he got drafted. I blasted it, right? So I spilled the beans like right before, but so then one of my buddies, he's a journalist still, Larry Brown. He's a Lancer as well. I think he runs his own. He still runs his own journalism website, Brown Baggett or something like that. Larry Brown. Shout out to Larry. He's like, Alexis, you know what you just did, right? Like kind of what Gomes was talking about. Like you just shot yourself in the foot. Like you can't be a journalist and spill the beans.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You can't be a scout. You know, these people are going to look at you like, dude, you can't do that. Like you just, but then I was like, bro, I did it like within 30 seconds. He got drafted. What's the big deal? I took my shot and I shot it. so then Jim's like, you know, like I said, in 10 years, maybe in 10 years, you'll do what I get to do, which is like have a little team, have your own section. And then I realized I can't wait that long. Like I'm not 21. Right. I was already in my early 30s and I'm like, time's flying.
And then you're like, Idaho. Idaho.
I'm like, Idaho. Like, come on, bro. Like
they would have skinned your ass over there, dude.
He was like, he goes, you ready to go? You can go to a scouting school. We'll send you there. Like literally, like this is like its own science.
Yeah.
Like he showed me like just the very basics just to get the stuff he needed for Bigford, which was fun because you know people, you know, I have my little gun, so I looked like a scout. Like I played the part.
Yeah.
And that was all fun and dandy. But when he told me the real, like he broke it down to me, I said, nah, man. I go, if I was in my 20s and I didn't have a wife or any of that stuff,
single,
I'd be like, I'm in. Let's roll.
Right.
Send me to Idaho. Fuck it. Louisiana, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I made, and that's the same. And so the funny story is that was the same time that I was doing Inside the Diamond.
Oh.
So I was scouting Inside the Diamond and 2 full-time jobs. And I made the decision to like, I'm going to make money. I can't afford to do it. And that's when I cut both of them. So I grew up at Sun Valley playing baseball. I ended up going to Grant. I was supposed to go to Poly. And to this day, they're basically saying it was in '99 when they got bombed on by Chatty.
Yeah,
I should have been on that team, and apparently that would have been a game changer. I don't know if I was on that team, but we had a lot of players from our area that they didn't even play ball. It's just crazy.
Wow.
But my whole baseball thing was from Sun Valley to Inside the Diamond. The scouting with the Blue Jays, that was fun. I went to Cal State LA to play baseball. I threw out my arm my first year. And then 2 years later, I tried to make a comeback. It didn't work. And I just said, forget it. I'm done. I'm going to do journalism, which kept me inside the game.
Right.
Yeah. That's going to keep me.
Right.
That's going to keep me going. And in regards to what you guys were talking about, how, you know, we've been talking about how kids take you got to know how to get to the next level. Right. And take the right classes, et cetera, et cetera. To me, that was
you talking about the college checklist, that we talked about
that, which was amazing, and you know, you guys did an amazing job in that.
Thank you,
because
appreciate it.
Had I had that, I would have been like, yo, I need to listen to the show. Let me write down my notes.
Yes, yes.
Because unfortunately for me, I wasn't too bad. Like I literally had 1 year. It was one semester, and I still remember because to me it was a big deal. I had 5 A's out of 6. So everybody's like, yo, like, how'd you do that? I was like, I don't know, but I did it. But I knew that was going to get me to the next level. Like even to play at a D2, D3, D, whatever it was. Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to get there. So my senior year, even when the season was over, I'm literally calling, emailing. So back then scanning was the thing. Like you had to scan stuff over. Or
faxing. Yeah. Right.
So I would fax all my shit over to so I hit up all the Cal States because I like Gomez says, hey, be realistic, fucker. Like, you know, like I wanted to play USC, but I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work. So so I had an idea that I could probably play D2, D3. So I started hanging up Sonoma State,
which is not bad.
State.
Which D2
is not bad.
Not bad.
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, going back, had I done it probably the best way for me should have been to a JC and then transferred.
Okay.
My coach at the time, which to this day I still remember, and it fucking pisses me off. I go, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. He turns around and says, oh, you want to play college ball? And I'm like, I wanted to flip. Like,
well, yeah.
Did you just ask? Like in my mind, I was like fuming. Did this guy just ask me that? Are you fucking kidding me, dog? I was the leadoff hitter. Yeah, you know, I did all these things. How are you asking me if I wanted to play ball on the next level? So finally, I pushed them to talk to the Cal State LA coach. Cal State LA coach and my coach met at Dodger Stadium in '99, watching Paulie get whooped by Chatty.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a invited walk on to Cal State LA. That's how I got to go to Cal State LA.
Okay.
Because I would have gone to any other state school because my grades weren't too bad.
Right.
But that's why I went there. And it was all because I was the one sending all these faxes to all these coaches. So I type up a letter and write the coach's name and write a nice little letter, sign it, and then send my stats. Boom, 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 boom. But because I didn't have the backup from a coach, they were like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Next. And then that's when I told him, like, I need your help. Like, I need backup here. Somehow the Cal State, I guess because it was nearby, I don't know. So I got to sit down with him and the coach. And he goes, all right, you're welcome to come. And I to this day, I think I would have made the team. What happened to me was I threw out my arm. I was in center field. I was hosing guys, like just hosing them. Boom, 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 boom. I got to this point where I couldn't pick up a baseball. And I just never went back to the field.
And you never went to get it checked out, or
I did, okay. But I didn't have insurance, so it was.
And that's another problem too, like
pinche sobadita aquí allá for a year. It took me almost a year and a half to be able to throw a baseball again. I don't know what I still to this day. I don't know what I had, but the team was like, "You're not officially on the team, so we can't help you." If that makes sense.
Yeah, we can't treat you.
We can't treat you. I was so like bummed out, ashamed, and embarrassed. I never went back to the field to talk to the coach. And to this day, I'm like, why? Like, why didn't you do that? You know what I mean? But I didn't have anybody to say, hey, you're a fucking idiot. Go talk to him, or let me call him for you or something. And in my mind, I'm going to get better. And when I get better, I'll come back and I'll show him I'm better. I didn't have the guidance. It goes back to guidance.
Yeah.
It goes back to someone being there for you and helping you and saying, hey, I've been there, done that. This is what you need to do.
All right, listener. Once again, I want to say thank you. This is the end of part 1. Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube as Street Talkers. We have our own channel there. Please subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Street Talkers PC, and then also on Twitter at Street Talkers PC. And send us comments, critiques, concerns, and anything. Congratulations, anything. I want to hear it. All right, so thank you again for listening, and watch out for part 2. Thank you.